Well, free agency is here. Early tampering period has been going on all day, and the Titans may have started off a little bit slow, but definitely got their fill in especially a couple of needed spots, including corner and defensive end. Looking forward to discussing all of that. In an initial reaction, welcome to the Two Tone Report. I'm Ryan. Ethan to my right. Ethan, it's been a full week. Early tampering period is here. Free agency is here. How you feeling right now, man? What's the vibes like?
Feeling pretty good. I'm quite happy. It was a little slow at the beginning, but we really picked it up. So happy about that.
Yeah, I think I feel like I feel the same sentiment of being a little bit disappointed in the early parts of it with a lot of fairly big names that I feel like the Titans were wanting to go after, going off the board pretty quick. We'll go ahead and well, bang, now we're on it and look at some of the signings. I'm not sure if this is all of the signings. To be totally real with you, this is from of course Adam Schefter,
I have them
Dr.
written
Alontae
down. If
Taylor,
that's
but these are the signings that at the very least have gone through. I think that first signing was Mitch Trubisky, and then was it?
oh no,
I
baby.
think. I
Oh,
think
Morgan
no.
Cox, long snapper, was the first signing.
Congratulations. That's
Year
just.
17, baby.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, I saw that on the Titans. Yeah, I did see that. My fault. My fault. My fault, guy. But when it comes to because he's been on the team, right? Or
Yeah.
does
So
he?
I mean, it wasn't. It was
It's a
technically
re-signing.
before. Yeah.
It's
So
a
they
re-signing.
could have signed him at any time. They just decided to do it like 20 minutes before free agency opened. So
Had to get that. Had to get that. Had to get that box checked.
come on,
But just
gotta
kind
get
of
that
looking at
established
it,
now.
guys who were not previously with the Titans a season ago. I think that first signing was Mitch Trubisky, like it says. Then Daniel Bellinger's, I think, just blocking tight end, right? It's supposed to be kind of just back up behind Gunnar Helm. Obviously, two of the big ones right after that, Wandale Robinson and John Franklin Myers, which those two, obviously, we talked about Wandale, but John Franklin Myers, I really like that pickup. And then a couple of corners in Cordell Flott and Alontae Taylor, who are two of the top guys in a free agency class. And I feel like just, I think compared to years past, maybe not as flashy, but still some good players all around. And I feel like the Titans were definite winners, especially when you compare what a lot of the other teams in the division, like the Colts and the Texans and Jags did. I feel like the Titans got, when it comes to actually getting better, I feel like the Titans were atop the division in that, in just getting better as a whole. And that could be because, they were a, 5-win team last year, or the fact that they brought in some good talent, alongside it, and the Texans and Jags and Colts really didn't do a whole lot. I mean, the Colts, and we'll talk about this in just a second, but I didn't love their offseason day one here. But curious what you have to say about this, free agent class so far. Obviously, it's only day one, so there's still a lot more time left for the Titans to go out and sign more players. As far as I know, Trey Hendrickson has not signed anywhere. So that is still potentially on the table. I don't really know how much anymore with them signing John Franklin Myers, but still, what are your thoughts on this early tampering period free agent class so far for Tennessee?
Honestly, I'm feeling really good about it. I think when you look at what we had to spend, we don't have a whole lot of young rookies that are coming up that are needing to get paid really anytime soon for the next couple of years. Um, so spend your money when you got it. Be the best football team you can be. You're going to pay, and people want to complain about a couple million here and there, like the Wandale Robinson being, I think, a 4-year, 78 million. I think it was like 19.5 or whatever. I think it's like a 4-year 70 with up to 78. So it's like, okay, well, we don't like 19.5, paying them that per year. It's like, well, that's the tax you get for being a bad football team. That's what happens. You have to pay, these players that are just, that's just what happens. But when it comes to that, it's a couple million here, it's a couple million there. We had the money to spend. Who cares? A lot of guys came from New York. A lot of guys came from New York. Yeah, Jets and the Giants. So, clearly trying to bring back some familiar faces, people that know the offense. that were clearly good locker room guys. I mean, Mitch Trubisky, let's just go there. I mean, that's a Dayball crossover when he was with the Bills in like 2021, 2020. So he knows Dayball's offense. He's also a really solid backup that if Cam gets hurt, it's not like, okay, well, let's just turn in the towel, Mitch Trubisky can win games. So, that's Daniel Bellinger. It was an interesting one. I've heard a lot of chitter chatter about like how he fits in the scheme. I just didn't like how much we paid him. I thought we overpaid for what we got from him. He was a 3-year, $24 million. When I think his spot track was estimated to be around $3 to $5 million. Again, just a couple million here and there, but that just feels like an overpay for just a not a playmaking tight end who just is going to improve the offense in some way. It's just to me, it's not really my favorite. But if it makes everything smoother, that's fine. But my favorite signing is definitely the John Franklin Meyer. Like that is a difference maker on the defensive line. To just like he's a beast. He's a monster. And so it's like, you get rid of Devondre Sweat, trade it for Jermaine Johnson. Have a little edge presence there. And then you have John Franklin Myers coming in. You basically have two parts of that Jets defensive line, which was considered really good. You interchange Jeffrey Simmons in that Quentin Williams role. And that's a pretty similar front right there. Like, I mean, linebackers are a little different, but I mean, that's not too far off. And that was an amazing defensive line. So I'm honestly really happy. I think we went out and got the guys we wanted.
Yeah, I think so too. I also think I really like this class so far, especially like you said, my favorite definitely being the John Franklin Myers because of what he brings to the table. Like he is a different player now than what he was on the Jets, and I think that has to do a lot with what they were able to do, in Denver with that defensive line and that defense as a whole being one of the best in the league a season ago. He is a guy who is going to sort of play a hybrid role on the defensive line, but not in the sense that we're used to saying, where it's like, oh, you've got a guy who's going to kind of play as an outside linebacker, but is primarily a rusher, kind of like a, TJ Watt or a Nick Bonito, but somebody who is going to, I think on run downs or on early downs will slide outside to like a 5-tech as a defensive end. That's technically what he's listed as on like ESPN and things like that. But let's be honest with ourselves. When it comes to pass rushing scenarios, he is going to be an interior guy. He's going to be lining up over guards because he's 6'4", 288. He's not somebody who's going to be lining up over the edge, not very often anyways, and rushing from that outside. And that's going to give Tennessee something that they just were never truly able to get with Devondre Sweat, and that is a secondary pressure guy outside of, somebody else to pass rush on the interior alongside Jeffrey Simmons. They never got that with Devondre Sweat, and even at his peak, even like no matter what, if he were to get to the best possible pass rushers that he could be, he's maybe a 5 or 6 sack a year guy. Devondre Sweat is. With John Franklin Myers, I think I saw something where he had 7.5 sacks last year, and I think he's had no less than 40 pressures in a season, I think, since being in the NFL. I want to say is what it is. I could be totally wrong about that, but I did see something along those terms. He is a really good presence on the inside of the interior defensive line from a pass rushing stance. And then also he's somebody who you can throw outside and as a edge setting run defender can really be a problem for tackles because it's not like you're sitting there talking about some of these lighter defensive ends. This is a guy who's more built like a Myles Garrett and is able to, really hold his own. And you can't just have one person on him in the run game because it's just not going to work out. In the end, you've got to allocate at least another body on him on the outside in comparison to, some of the lighter guys in the NFL. I really like that signing. Obviously, Wan'Dale Robinson felt like, you talked about it when we were talking about some of the free agent acquisitions that were kind of expected. It was kind of like just a match, similar to what you saw in Miami earlier with them signing Malik Willis. It's like everything, pre-free agency with some of the signings that they made or with some of the coordinating things that they made, like Miami bringing over a bunch of dudes from the Packers, and then would you know it, they go and sign Malik Willis. Oh, you bring over Brian Daboll, who was Wan'Dale Robinson's head coach. Of course, he's going to come and sign with him in the offseason. And I think what he's going to be compared to for pretty much the rest of his career at this point is going to be an Alec Pierce. And getting him for 10 plus million less a year is, I think, a huge steal, because I got to be honest with you here. I know this is kind of expected from Alec Pierce, but he is not worth $30 million a year.
Nope.
I think this is similar to what we saw a few years ago with Christian Kirk going to the Jags. That wide receiver class wasn't necessarily as strong as what we've seen in years past in free agency. And a guy like a Christian Kirk is benefiting off of that. Not Charlie Kirk. Get it right, Stephen A. But it's similar, where it's like, I think he got 25 million. Charlie Kirk did. I just said it.
You did it. You literally just did it. That's what you get, dude.
Clown on Stephen A, then I clown myself.
That couldn't have been more perfect.
At 25 mil that Christian Kirk got, that's going to be similar to this, right? He's getting $29 million a year, I believe, from the Colts. Plus, you trade away Michael Pittman. I mean,
who was a better receiver?
I mean, yeah. I think
more versatile receiver. Like, I mean, when the Titans played the Colts, it was always like, God damn it, Michael Pittman's dogging us again. It's just, it was every time. Now they may be like, well, the measurable statistics say that the deep field threat of shut up. Michael Pittman was the better receiver. Like, you're smoking crack if you think not.
Yeah, I mean, I think the stats, I want to say, whenever I was watching, it was between NFL Network and ESPN, the Pat McAfee show, I was watching that because they had a bunch of cool guys on there. I don't know if you saw that. Probably not, since you're working. I'm a little jobless idiot on Mondays, but they had Dan Orlovsky and Peter Schrager and Adam Schefter all in studio, had their own setup. It was pretty sick. It was pretty cool.
Like in a dungeon that they pan down to or whatever. Right?
Yeah, they banished Shefty to a fucking dungeon, room by himself in like a glass room. It's kind of depressing. Like Schrager and Dan Orlovsky were over there sitting, and they weren't in like the actual main set, but they were not in a boxed room that's probably a couple 100 square feet, literally like a dungeon for fucking Schefter. It's kind of depressing to look at. They would pan the camera over to him. It'd just be like the glass, like a glass door or a couple glass doors. And then it would cut to a camera of him inside, where it's just like, this is what's happening. It's like, damn, they really banished him to the shadow realm, to the dungeon to go do.
I think it's probably to protect his phone calls and stuff. That's what I'm assuming.
Probably, but still, I thought that was kind of funny. And but like I said,
got the numbers on the Mitch Trubisky contract. It's a 2-year, $10.5 million.
Yeah, I mean that's
isn't that exciting?
That's I feel like average numbers for a guy who's gonna. Hopefully, you never see the field unless it's preseason or a blowout. But obviously, with Cam Ward, I know he got hurt at the end of the season. Not to say that he is a injury-prone player, but now that that's kind of there, you want to have a contingency plan just in case. I know a lot of teams have seen the other side of that when you don't have a very good contingency plan in comparison to if you do. Look at San Francisco and then look at Miami, right? If you have a shitty backup quarterback who doesn't know how to run a system very well, or run your system very well, then you're going to get what Miami got. If you have a quarterback who can run your system well, like San Francisco's had with what was previously Brock Purdy and then now Mac Jones, you have a lot of continuity there. But going back, I want to go back to the division as a whole, because we did kind of talk about that a little bit. Obviously, we talked about the Colts. I can't recall if the Texans really did anything or the Jags really did anything. I know the Texans traded for David Montgomery, but outside of that,
they had Rod Blankenship or whatever. Not Rod. Is it Rod, the safety from the Eagles?
Oh no, Reed Blankenship.
Reed. Rod's the kicker.
Yeah.
Reed Blankenship. They signed from the Eagles. It's like 3-year, 50.
Who did?
Like that.
The Eagles or
Texans?
Or not the Eagles? Texans did. Okay. Well, like I said,
but there's no big name that really popped up for that.
Yeah,
like I said, I think out of all the teams in the AFC South, the Titans by far, and this should have been expected. If they didn't have the best free agency period with the money that they had and the positions of need that they needed to fill, then this would have been an epic fail. Borderline, I mean, that's borderline fireable, to be totally honest with you, from Borgonzi. If he did not, at the very least, looking at it now, and obviously looking down the road during the season, it's going to be a different story. But right now, seeing all the signings that they made, if he did not have, a better free agent period than what the Texans and Jags and Colts had, then that's just, I mean, that's malpractice by him, because you have the money, you have the needs. There are plenty of guys out there to go out and get, and we don't have to worry about that because he ended up doing it. So
it's true. My guy did it.
He did it. I mean, it's hard not to look at it. I'm kind of curious, and this is going to be a quick episode, but I think Titans are a clear winner for me. I think the Raiders are a really big winner. That's the one thing that I will say I was disappointed in. They didn't go out and get a center at all today.
Yeah. Well, we did. His name is he's a guard, but he's like a backup. I think they want to transition him to center, or maybe he played both. His name is Austin Schlottman, and I think he's from New York, and he's a 1-year deal. And then we also signed a guard, right? Like an hour ago or so, Cordell Volson, a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. So these are like. I definitely think we need to go center. That's actually what I was going to ask you, and I was going to see what your thoughts were. What positions in need is like number one now? Like what's that big thing that we need to fill? And I think center is it, and then I think safety is number two for me.
Yeah, that definitely right now, especially when you look at the center market and the way that it's dwindled heavily with Linderbaum going to the Raiders, who I really thought that the Titans were going to go after. I don't know that they did or didn't. Well, however much money, absolutely deserves the $20 million guaranteed that he's going to get per year. I think it's 3 years, $81 million is what his overall contract was with the Raiders. I mean, listen, I think he's 100% worth that, and I think it's a great signing by the Raiders because you're going to get Fernando Mendoza in the draft, and that's going to really help out your quarterback, your young quarterback, is to get a guy who is, going to be touching the ball every single play, just like the quarterback is, and he's top 5 at his position at a young age, like Tyler Linderbaum is. And then obviously Connor McGovern, I think that's his name. I think that's how you say his name, for the Bills, re-signing there, who was another guy who was potentially going to be, another top center in this class, ends up going off the market before tampering period starts. So I think I am disappointed that they didn't, address that in a bigger way. And I think that is going to be a potential need. I think I saw it on the Buck Rising show. It's like they were talking about it before free agency had started, where it's like, if they don't go out and get somebody like a Tyler Linderbaum, and at this point it was before McGovern had gotten re-signed, then it's like, you're going to have to more than likely spend a top 100 pick, spend, day 2 pick on a center. Now, who that ends up being, whether it's like a Jake Slaughter or somebody else, that who knows. But I think that's going to definitely be a spot where, most of these mock drafts, they have combination of a Reuben Bain or a David Bailey or, whoever else. Jeremiah Love, obviously, really in that conversation now. I think as long as he gets there, I think Jeremiah Love's kind of the front runner now for that spot at 4. But before that, it was, whoever they take at 4, which wasn't going to be offensive line, either wide receiver and then wide receiver corner, either way on day 2 was kind of the expectation. Now it's like, okay, you're probably going to have to use that second or third round pick on a center / movable guard is what you're just going to end up having to do, because that wasn't addressed in free agency, at least to the point where you feel comfortable sending somebody out there, to go start at center if you without signing guys like McGovern or Linderbaum. Not that I had a chance for McGovern, but still, I think that's a big part of it. And then safety as well. But like we had talked about earlier, it's safety is a position that can be filled fairly easily with these short-term contracts. It's not like it's why you see safeties get drafted lower in drafts. Same deal with running backs is that you can get pretty good production out of guys safeties for not very expensive deals in comparison to some of these other positions of need like defensive end and quarterback and things like that. You can find similar production from guys who don't cost nearly as much or maybe don't require as high of a draft pick in comparison to quarterbacks and defensive ends and wide receivers and things like that. So that's going to be another big part. Curious to see who they go after, but overall, I really like the signings on that. I like what they did there. I'm curious for you. We talked about, like, obviously Titans are winners. We talked about that. I feel like they did a really good job today. Raiders are winners, and we talked about that. Losers for you for this free agency period. I've got a big one. Outside of that, I'm kind of a lot of these people. I've got two actually. I do have two. I'm curious what.
If I were just to pick a team that, like, I guess in my mind that made some splashy moves, not necessarily in free agency or anything, but didn't do much in free agency, and I think got worse, would be the Ravens. In my mind, I think the Ravens beefed up their defensive line, but now they have a young head coach who's never called plays before, calling plays. Has he never called plays before? Am I being really stupid right now? Yeah,
maybe. I think he did call plays, and I want to say he did call plays. Maybe.
Well, either way,
I don't know. Either way,
he's
first year head
inexperienced.
coach. First year head coach.
Oh my god, Siri ass bitch keeps fucking popping up. Fuck.
Clowning
Every
for
2
you.
seconds. Sorry, it was really killing me. The whole time I kept trying to stay focused. She keeps popping up.
Clowning.
God, may have to cut that out because that was a little bit of a
good.
bomb.
But, dude, I don't. I'm leaving this in. What's the worst that's gonna happen?
My dad's gonna get mad at me. My dad's mom's gonna be like, "Why'd you say that?" Guess what? I'm him. Okay. To get back on it, I think the Ravens are. I mean, you lose your young center, who's clearly worked with Lamar Jackson for years. You your play caller that was with Lamar for years is now gone. You give up both your draft picks where you could go get young talent at the offensive position, or draft and develop a young defensive player. Now is Max Crosby insane? Yeah. Like, is he worth that to a certain team? Yeah, but I just, in my mind, I just haven't felt like the Ravens have been a good enough team the last couple of years to where they're like, oh my god, they're fringe Super Bowl. Max Crosby pushes them over the edge. I just haven't felt like that's them to me. I mean, especially with their head coach, I feel like they got worse. But someone may come in here and prove me wrong. I don't know. They may prove me wrong.
We'll see about that for sure. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think giving up what they gave up, knowing that they didn't make the playoffs a season ago, and losing some key pieces like Tyler Linderbaum and having a lot of new coaching staff on the team now, I think that's definitely a big one. Gotta be honest with you here. The Falcons, that's a rough one.
Your guy, come on, it's your guy, it's your boy.
He's not my guy. He was my guy.
He's your boy.
And he decided
He's inspirational.
I guess. I think the Falcons signing Tua with Michael Penix on the roster makes absolutely zero sense. No sense at all, especially when if you were looking at a quarterback, why would you go after the exact same quarterback that you already have on the roster? I saw something on Twitter where somebody posted, this is the Falcons, it's before he got signed, like Falcons potential 2026 quarterback room. And it's Tua whenever he did the, swords fingers against the Bengals. And it's a picture of Michael Penix
both of his knees.
Yes, in a fucking wheelchair. It's like,